What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Action Network podcast. I'm your host, Chris Raybon, and this is our NFC 2025 team-by-team preview part 2. We're going to go over the NFC West and the NFC North team-by-team, talk about the futures we like, win totals, division, Super Bowl odds, etc. And here to break it down with me, the Prime Minister of Degenerate Nation, Stuckey. We recorded 3 of these already. This is the 4th one, the final one. How you feeling?
Good. I'm really excited to talk the NFC West and NFC North. I think are arguably the 2 most interesting divisions in the NFL.
Absolutely, especially if you think that the Eagles may take a step back. In the East, that kind of opens things up, and I think there are a lot of quality teams in these 2 divisions.
One of these divisions, I think, is going to get 3 teams in.
Yeah. So let's talk about it. Let's start in the West, and the Niners are a team that I think somewhat polarizing because they have a large rookie class, a lot of more roster turnover than usual. And so their win total is kind of around 10 flat. Over is juiced up. Over 10.5 is juiced up. Over 10.5 is at plus money, but over 9.5 is juiced up. So do you see the Niners team as still a double-digit win team with all the kind of things going on injury wise, all the turnover and whatnot, or how you looking at them heading into this season?
I was looking into this today. The training staff for the Niners has been like the same staff for like 6 years. What is going on there? They had 1 healthy year and they went to the Super Bowl, but they're hoping that this is like a 2021 repeat. So 2020 was a disastrous injury situation after the Super Bowl. They had 6 wins. Next year, they went to the NFC Championship game. Last year, 6 wins after the Super Bowl. Disastrous injury situation. They're hoping to go back to the NFC Championship game. Because the 49ers either miss the playoffs or go to the NFC Championship game. That's happened 20 straight years. NFC Championship or miss the playoffs. That's it.
That's ridiculous. That's a great stat.
No other.
That's a great stat.
I think it's 22 straight years for the Niners.
Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. So you're going back to like, when's the last time they didn't? Like, was that Mike Singletary era? Like who was that Tom Sula? Like, I'm trying to even think of who the coach would have been back then.
Geez. 22 years. So let's see. That probably would have been 2002. 2002 or 2000. 2002, 2003 Niners. So that would have been
Mariucci.
Oh and
my God. Wow.
Who the hell was the quarterback on that team? Was that Garcia? Yeah, Garcia.
Tim Rattay.
T.O. was probably on that team.
Ty Streets.
That's it. So every year since 2002, either miss the playoffs or go to the conference championship. Sometimes Super Bowl. So, yeah, they were so injured last year. They were bottom 3 adjusted games lost on both offense and defense. So you'd expect the bump there. They also were like 2-5 in 1 possession games. They were minus 10 turnovers. They were so unlucky on special teams, and the special teams was bad. Special teams could be bad again. We'll see. But this is a team they lost so much because, you paid Purdy, and they lost 10,000 snaps. And it was one of the greatest exoduses from a net perspective in like free agency. What they lost compared to what they brought in. One of the largest net negatives from a money perspective of all time. So the defense got particularly hit. So they spent their first 5 picks in the draft on the defense. They need those guys to hit. Saleh comes in, new defense coordinator. I think it was a good move. They just have been lost on that side of the play call.
Are you sure? Because Gus Bradley's also there.
Yeah.
And the cocaine guy from Miami is there on the offense too.
Yeah, so maybe it's a little more volatile than I'm anticipating. But they need guys like Williams, Stout, Collins, West, Martin to hit, at least a bunch of them. Maybe not all, but and the depth is pretty shaky across the board because they're a stars-driven team because of some failed draft picks and Purdy getting paid, and that makes the injury situation much more important. And their situation right now a lot dicier. everyone is hurt again. Like, who they just traded for Sky Moore? Who, like, week 1? I mean, you have, I don't even know, like, Russell Gage just got hurt. Was he going to start week 1? I don't even, like, there's a chance week 1. So, like, Ayuk, Jennings, Robinson's suspended, Cowing's now hurt, Watkins and Gage are hurt. Like, I don't even know who's left. It's like Pearsall and Sky Moore are 1-2, like, at this very second. Is that real?
Yeah, I mean, is Jennings might be there, though. That's the wild
yes,
card.
There's a chance. Yeah. I'm just saying, like, but all these guys are dealing with it, like, right now. Like, this is how bad it is. So, yeah, the interior, the offensive line, there's some questions as well. Like, can Trent Williams stay healthy? He's not getting any younger. When obviously the night and day when he's in the lineup versus not. But I mean, he's 37. So yeah, McCaffrey, can he stay healthy? Like, the injury questions right now are already littering everywhere. So, and then the defense, they need a lot of these. There's injuries on the defense too that they're dealing with all across the board. Secondary, defensive line. And they need a lot of these rookies to hit. They need their stars to stay healthy. It's a stars and scrubs team now. I project them. I have no confidence in right now because of all these injuries, but their schedule is the easiest in the NFL. I mean, their schedule couldn't get any easier. You get the AFC and NFC South. I have it. The fact that I have their schedule the easiest in the NFL, it's not a team in the NFC South. It's crazy. And, you know, they're minus 210 to make the playoffs, plus 155 to win. I think that's a little crazy. Minus 210 to make the playoffs in this division, which I think is really tough. Plus 155 to win the division. No, thank you. Over 10.5 minus 110. I do project them at 10.3, but that's like considering a healthy roster, which they don't have right now. And a lot of these rookies, their defense could end up being disastrous. So, yeah, I don't necessarily think I'm selling the 49ers, but I'm definitely not buying, and I'm very interested in buying the Cardinals.
Before we go to the Cardinals, and we'll talk to Rams too, I actually like buying the dip for the Niners.
The dip's on
the long shots. I'm saying, Super Bowl 20-1. I'll take that because, like you said, if they do stay healthy, I still do think they have that upside to get to the championship game. And
yeah, they were like a top 10 team last year before all the disastrous injuries.
Yeah.
And they still
and you look at the teams, the top teams in the NFC, and we expect the Eagles to take a step back, regression, schedule, turnover. The Lions, we'll get to them, but I think we both expect them to take a step back. So, yes, there's a lot of quality teams. What's up?
It's wide open.
Yeah, exactly. And the Niners, this is what they do. So, I think right now, because there are all these injuries at the same time, and they always go through this, but like, for example, Jennings, he's probably fine. Ayuk will come back midseason. We don't know if we can count on him, but it's the backup running backs getting hurt. It's mostly backup receivers getting hurt of any consequence. And then there's just a lot of new faces on the defense. So it's kind of like buying low on them. This could just be the reboot, the retool they need, and the perfect year for them where it is wide open. So
I don't hate the long angle.
Yeah, I think that's how you play them. I agree. I don't want them winning. I don't want them to win the division even at plus money, because I think they're every team can challenge for that division there. And I think Seattle probably will be a tier below, but and then the same thing with the wins. It's very volatile because they're at any point injuries could just overload, and so it's a long shot for me. But it's been a very consistent high upside team when it goes right. So that's what I want with the Niners. But all right, now Cardinals, they seem to be like this perfectly mediocre team in the market. Now it's a little bit more juiced to over 8.5 in terms of the win total. Talk to me about why you like Arizona.
Yeah, I mentioned this on our podcast 3 months ago that I'm buying the Cardinals across the board. I played them to make the playoffs, win the division, and over. I mean, I project them at 9 wins, so not as much value now that it's more juice, but the 49ers situation is volatile. Stafford, which we'll talk about, that situation is very volatile. And Seattle, I do think, takes a step back, although there's some things I like about Seattle, which we'll get to. But I think Arizona, this is year 3 of Gannon and that staff, which I really like. I think they're poised to make a big leap. I think they might be one of from a DVOA perspective, they were the most improved defense in 2024, especially when you look at their schedule and you adjust it for schedule. And they were bottom 5 in adjusted games lost injury wise the last 2 years on defense. So can they actually get healthy on defense? The defensive line has just been decimated, and their defensive line was not good last year, and it was injured. What did they do? They went out and they addressed it, and it's probably the most improved defensive front in the NFL. You add Sweat, Campbell, Tomlinson. You draft Nolan, who I love. We'll see when he gets healthy. Just a Birch you drafted too, I think can give them something. Robinson also comes back from injury. You basically lost them all last year. It's another first-round draft pick. I thought Will Johnson was a steal at cornerback.
Yep.
I love Garrett Williams. Will Johnson, it looks like he's going to be healthy. We'll see if Simon can win that linebacker battle. But I love their draft. I love what they did in free agency. They went out. They spent $180 million. First 5 picks in the draft on defense. I love Gannon and Rouse they do so many unique schematic things. I think they do some of the most interesting things in the league with their 3 high looks, their penny looks up front. So they were a bottom 5 pass rush win rate last year. Like, they're going to be improved there. Their run D will also improve with better health and these better personnel. So I think their defense is going to be even better this year. I think this is a top 10 defense in the league. Offense, they were a top 10 offense last year. And because they ran the ball so well, their offensive line remains intact. And basically their entire offense remains intact. They were a top 10 offense last year, and Harrison wasn't really good. Hearing a lot of you get a leap from him. I think that this offense can be a top 10 offense again. Not saying it's going to be the best, but they can maintain that level if Harrison gets a jump, and the run game is going to be really good. Can they avoid the fall off late in the season with Murray? Can Murray improve his can he improve his deep ball
touchdown rate? Yeah.
Touchdown rate's been so bad. He's 20 plus air yard throws the last 3 years. He's 53 out of 53 qualified quarterbacks in EPA per attempt on 20 plus air yard throws. The O-line does have to stay healthy because the depth is a little questionable. But last year they faced the top 3 hardest schedule on offense and defense. This year, I projected below average on both offense and defense. They were unlucky in turnovers, 1-possession games last year, and they still won 8 games with all the injuries, with the defensive personnel not being up to snuff. Can they finally win? What's that?
Should have won another one. That was that last game of the season, I think it was, where they came up just short at the goal line against the Rams or 9 or something. No, it was it was a game. It was a game before that.
Yeah,
they should have won week 17. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, but
and they lost to the Cardinals and Panthers in overtime.
Yeah, I would have loved for them to add another weapon, but by the way, there's the schedule last year. They faced no backup quarterbacks. It was a tough schedule. They had bad fumble luck, they had bad injury luck. As I mentioned, the schedule gets much easier. There's a lot to like about this team, but can they avoid that late season fall? Because they end the year at Tampa, home against the Rams, at Houston, Atlanta, at Cincy, at the Rams. Not easy, those final 6 with 4 of them on the road. But there's a good chance they get off to a really fast start. New Orleans, Carolina, beat up San Fran, Seattle at home, Tennessee at home, at Indianapolis. They could stack some wins here early. I like this team. I like the fit of a lot of guys they brought in. The weapons aren't amazing, but if Harrison can make that jump, you got McBride. They play a ton of heavy sets, and I don't know. I think this team has potential to be a top 10 offense and defense and have some breaks go their way this year with an easier schedule. Like the staff, I'm bullish on the Cardinals. I think this is a playoff team.
Yeah, looking at this team, I agree with you. I think they're undervalued. I do like you worry about the end of season schedule.
Yeah,
and I think it's a lot easier the first half. I mean, New Orleans, Carolina, Niners, Seattle, Tennessee, Indianapolis are your first 6, and then Green Bay, by Dallas, Seattle. So then like the first half of the season is going to be easier, but I think the key and we might end up selling on them at some point late in the year. Maybe it's just on the point spread because I could see them starting really strong. The key for them, though, as you mentioned, the defense. As long as that defense is good, above average to good, I think that's key because this team
Their offense is high floor.
Yeah, this team will thrive when they can play their big heavy sets, and that can then unlock the deep shots with the defense, kind of having to guess run or pass. Once you get a situation where Kyler just has to stand in the shotgun, drop back, find guys downfield, that's when you start to worry because you got the height issues, Kyler accuracy issues downfield, and then it is a little bit thin offensively. I mean, you're talking about a major role for Zay Jones in place of your guy. It seems like he's jumped your guy Dortch, but I mean Dortch struggled last year. He's just not made for the run blocking that they want to do either.
Yeah.
And then Jones could be a nothing. I don't know if you have enough there. And then Wilson has kind of been, he looked intriguing at times, but he's not really a needle mover. At least hasn't been. So it could get dicey if they have to be dropping back 3 wide shotgun consistently. So, but the fact that the defense is good and the first half schedule is good, I think you buy them in some form or fashion that like in maybe win total, or if there's like another way you could play them kind of starting hot. But I do think that we might end up selling them late in the year because they could start looking really good and being overvalued, and then they go play a team where they get behind, and it's a whole different situation.
But the other thing I like though is that in this division, which I think is tough, but we just talked about the Niners. They need their rookies in on defense. They have all these injury questions like volatility. The Rams, we'll talk about next, Stafford, volatility. So like there's a lot of variance in this division as well. Like the Seahawks with Darnold, and so there's a lot of variance in this division, which is why I want to buy some of the upside on the Cardinals.
No, I agree. I think they're set up really well because they've created a team that it works. It works. Like the offense and defense are complementary. I don't think they have necessarily the same. Like I'd want Cardinals division and win total more so than I'd want them Super Bowl. I still think you're going to get to a point where you're going to have to beat somebody, offensively. And the later you get to the season, the more likely it is that if like any of the weapons are hurt on offense, it drops off in a hurry. So, yeah. All right, no surprises, folks. The NFL season kicks off in 2 weeks, and to get most out of the award-winning Action Network app, you're going to want an Action Pro subscription because only Pro subscribers are going to get real-time pick alerts from experts such as myself, Brandon Anderson, Stuckey, and our entire Action Network team. Plus, you can access our Pro projections powered by my guy, Sean Kerner, the odds maker. A ton of other benefits as well. So to celebrate football's return, we have got a special offer. Just go to the Action Network app or go to actionnetwork.com/pro, and you can get $20 off the annual price with promo code POD20. That's POD20. So don't miss out on the best bets at the best prices. Visit actionnetwork.com/pro and use promo code POD20 to get $20 off a year of Action Pro. But let's talk Rams because I mean, the Rams on paper, they look good. But then you talk about Stafford. He's high 30s, struggle with injuries. You're gonna have to rely more on Tutu Atwell, which I think is actually good, but run blocking, still don't know. Adams decline against zone coverage, similar to the one that came before Allen Robinson's massive drop off when the Rams signed him. Higbee's always a question mark. So there's a lot of question marks on this offense. Where do you think the volatility takes them? Like, do you think this is more likely to be a Super Bowl team? Because this is another team that when they do well, they go far. Or is it another disaster Liam Cohen year that they had in 2022?
Yeah, I'm worried about the Rams just because of Stafford. Like this back. Like this could be a lingering issue all year with his age.
True.
And Jimmy G and Devontae, that'll be interesting.
Yeah, we were talking about that off air. That's because theoretically you could say Jimmy G is still one of the better backups in the league.
Correct, but they definitely wouldn't have this high of a ceiling than Stafford being good. And Stafford just aged in general. We've started to see some cracks. He's still can put up unbelievable performances, but you still see it in certain weeks. Although he was really impressive outdoors against Philly. But
yeah, that's what threw me off about Stafford. I felt like he was declining and he couldn't handle pressure and they just had to get the ball out quick. And that was what was hampering them in the red zone these last few years. And then down the stretch last year, I thought he actually was great against pressure and was moving around the pocket well, but now he has his back injury. So it's kind of like a mind fuck almost with Stafford.
Yeah. You also have Alaric Jackson, their left tackle, blood clots. Didn't he miss like 9 or 10 games a couple years ago with the blood clot issue? So that's big as well. They did bring in DJ Humphries, but that's not is the drop off from Jackson to Humphries. But I think the offense should be fine, assuming health, which is definitely questionable. I mean, Adams isn't the same player he was, but I think he's better than what Kupp was last year. I like Atwell. Nakua is obviously a stud. Their offensive line and healthy is still good. So, the offense should be fine. The defense, I still worry about. The defensive line and outside linebackers are good because they've drafted really well and they've needed to. They haven't had a ton of draft resources, but they've hit with, and they brought in Puna Ford, who I think will help with the run D. But, Fisk and Turner and Young and Verse, they've just hit so well, these guys. Middle linebacker is okay, but could be better. It's the secondary that I worry about. I like Lake at the nickel spot, but their corners and safeties leave a lot to be desired. I don't think it's going to be a good pass defense, but
really, you don't like? What was it? I thought Kitchens played well last year as a rookie, and Curl has been good. I think he had one. I guess he had one really good year, and he's been kind of. But I always liked him as a player since his Washington days. I think that safety. I think the safeties probably help hide some of the cornerback deficiencies. To be honest, I think safeties are pretty solid.
I don't know if they're good enough to do that. So I'm a little lower on both of them than you, but that Keller Witherspoon, are they going to need him? That's not great. If anyone gets hurt, you're going to Emmanuel Forbes maybe. The defense, it wasn't that good last year. What were they, 20th DVOA? People thought the defense was better than it was.
It got better down the stretch, I thought. But I mean, they did play Darnold in the playoffs.
Yeah, but can they avoid a slow start? They always get off to a slow start, and then with Stafford being injured, maybe that happens again. Then they turned it on. It's like if you want to wait for the Rams maybe to win the division, make the playoffs. Wait, they're probably going to go through. They go to Philly. They play San Fran at Baltimore. In weeks 3 through 7, get Jacksonville overseas, and then it's their bye. And the schedule lightens up a bit, but maybe you wait to buy them. I project them at 9.2. I've downgraded them a bit because of these injury concerns recently. So I would lean under, but not enough to bet it. I have too much respect for McVay, and I want to get some more info on Stafford in this injury situation, but that's keeping me off buying them. And one of the reasons I wanted to buy, I would recommend buying some upside on the Cardinals. But it's the pass D that I'm worried about, and the offensive health. The offense is healthy. This is a top 10 offense. The defense can be good enough. Special teams are a bit of a concern, but and the schedule will get easier than last year, which helps. But it's all about the Stafford and lesser extent Jackson health, because this team, if they're going to win, it's McVay. And it's how they win. They win with offense. They're not going to win with their defense, and their defensive line and linebacker, their edge rushers can make enough plays if their offense is good. But if their offense is hurt and not as good, then this team isn't going to the playoffs. So it's just all eyes on the Stafford situation.
Yeah, I like the upside with the Rams. It's because we'll get to the NFC North momentarily, and I think with that division, you could talk yourself into pretty much any one of those teams. But if you just look back in the NFC, it's either the Eagles or it's Shanahan McVay. Right? That's just kind of what happens, and it all kind of plays into each other, because I like buying this division in general in different ways, because you mentioned that probably 3 teams are going to get in one of these divisions. I think more people might think it's the North. And the way the schedule sets up, it's easy for all these teams, even though they play each other, which is rare. So I think this division's a good buy. I like the Cardinals regular season. I like the Rams I still like the Rams for high upside Super Bowl as well, because if everything goes right, I think their defense will overachieve. I think it has overachieved, but in a sense like that, I'm complimenting. I think Shula does a good job, and I think it like every year we kind of look at the Rams. I feel like we've been looking at the Rams like, oh man, their defense is or something's always up with them. Either it's offensively, defensively, and somehow they still seem to overachieve compared to what it looks like on paper. So, yeah, I want the upside with the Rams. If they get to the playoffs, I think they'll be dangerous. But I don't. I agree with you on.
They easily beat the Eagles last year.
Yeah, they could have. I mean, it came down to a couple plays right at the end in the red zone. So, yeah, the Rams are upside team for me. Cardinals are more the regular season darling, and then the Niners are also the upside team. So that leaves the Seahawks. And I mean, your guy from Baltimore is the head coach, Mike McDonald, and defensive minded guy goes 10-7 in his first year head coaching, and somehow, but it's still, when I look at this team though, I still see a very low floor. Do you agree with that, or do you think this team is more of a 500 team that could challenge for the division, kind of like Arizona?
Yeah, I mean, there's some things I like about Seattle. I mean, Seattle last year, I had their over. I kind of got a bit lucky. I mean, they finished 18th DVOA. They were pretty much they were a subpar team last year. They got pretty lucky. I mean, they went 6-2 in one-score games. They only beat 2 playoff teams. It was Knicks in Week 1 in his first start, and then in Week 18 when the Rams didn't care.
And Gino did.
Yeah, Gino had a lot of reasons to care. So the defense, McDonald did his job there. They improved from 28th to 10th.
Yep.
DVOA, and they improved a lot during the season. He kind of tweaked some things. He got his linebacker room that he wanted. And then in the back end, they made some changes, putting Brian at free safety and a number of schematic changes that really paid dividends. And he kind of, it's a complex defense. Guys started to get it. They pretty much bring everyone back. They swap Jones for Lawrence. So this defense on paper should be a top 10 unit. I don't really have any qualms there. Now defenses are inconsistent year to year. Secondary play is, so maybe not. But there's nothing really to nitpick about this defense and what McDonald does there. The offense last year was a mess, mainly because of the offensive line. And what Grubb didn't really fit with what this offensive line did. That's where I think there's some upside. Like Kubiak comes in, you're going to get more play action, motion, outside zone, a higher run rate. Like last year, they were 26th in play action, 20th in motion. That should change. And I think that the offensive line is like a good fit with what he wants to do, this outside zone running scheme. And their offensive line was good in the preseason. And like Gray Zabel, that's what they do at North Dakota State. I think this Sundell might win the center spot. Again, North Dakota State guy, like they run outside zone, and it might be a really good fit, this offensive line, because that's my biggest question. Their tackles are decent enough. It's the interior offensive line. Like Bradford is not any good at right guard, but if they hit on Sundell and Zabel, schematically, I think this offense could be better. Now the weapons got worse. Like you brought in Cup and lost DK. That's a downgrade. And then you lost Lockett and brought in MVS. That's probably a wash.
Horton's probably better than all those guys.
I was just going to him. That's my guy. Everyone knows. I had college pod. I love Torrey Horton. He was my guy. I love betting him. It's been a lot of hype there. He could be the guy. So if Horton hits, this offensive line is better and it's a better schematic fit. This offense could be feisty. And we know the defense is probably going to be pretty good. I also like Eamon Ware. He's a freak. I think McDonald's going to do some really good things with him at safety. Because the whole key is this offensive line, because they need the interior to hit. So like everything I'm watching is Zabel and then this center battle, which I think Sundell's going to win it, but because it's Darnold, the quarterback, you cannot have a bad interior offensive line and have Darnold and expect to do things. So yeah, it could go downhill quick if this offensive line doesn't hit. and Horton isn't the guy, because then your weapons outside of JSN are dicey. But if this running game with this new scheme and this interior offensive line hits, and then there's some potential, and you have the defense. So the Seahawks are interesting to me, but I think they're clearly the fourth best team going in. But they're going to battle. I project them at 8-4. So I show a little value in the over. Not quite there yet. I just want to see how this offensive line battle hands out. And I don't know if I trust Darnold fully. But there's some intriguing things about Seattle this year that I think they could be better than some think. Some think they're just going to be a disaster. Don't necessarily think that'll be the case.
Yeah, I think they have the floor to be an absolute disaster. And I think Darnold is the chief concern, because the offensive line should be better.
Like, play calling wise, Darnold deserves this. Like last year, he was in such bad situations, and then last year he got the perfect situation, and he was in bad coaching, bad offensive lines, and maybe the offensive line is bad again this year, but I'm a little more optimistic. And now he gets like McDonald, Kubiak. It's a good situation like that. I think that raises their floor with the coaching on this team. I think they upgraded the offensive coordinator just fit wise and scheme wise. Grubb, I think, is better made for the college game. So we'll see. But I do think there's a low floor for sure with Darnold and this offensive line. And maybe the defense isn't as good. Like we said, we can't just guarantee that the defense will be top 10 again.
What worries me is, so, the Rams were able to, kind of look at that Lion game plan from last season in the final week of the regular season, and the Lions defense was just all sorts of banged up, and the Rams were able to just kind of replicate it and completely destroy Darnold. And now it's in the division. It's like I just feel like it's going to come down to these division games, because
that's a good point.
It could be one of those situations, kind of almost like a Tua situation, where it doesn't get any better than last year with Darnold, and it very well might not. I mean, we've kind of seen him up to this point in his career. He didn't.
Where is he if he struggles early mentally after how he closed last year? It's another question.
Yeah, and then you've got Milroe, who the fans, I'm sure, are going to be calling for, even though he could end up being Richardson 2.0.
Which he is.
So yeah, the floor is low, but I agree. I think if Horton hits and Darnold can kind of just, if they haven't figured him out and they can kind of figure ways to get around them just playing those same coverages that they played the last two games, then they'll be feisty. But the schedule, they depend on the division a lot more than the other three teams, who it kind of sets up like, okay, these teams just have easy schedules, and then regardless of what happens in the division, they should all still be above 500. Like the Seahawks, they need to be able to beat the Rams and at home, or steal one from the Niners, or beat the Cardinals, things like that.
Yeah.
All right, NFC North. This is, woo. I mean, everyone has a different flavor that they like in the NFC North. Let's start with the Detroit Lions. Coming off that embarrassing loss to the Commanders, their win total is like around 10. It's 9.5 juiced up. I think that's sharp, because I do think the Lions take a step back. We both felt strongly that way 3 months ago. How are you feeling about Detroit now that we're a little closer to the regular season? And I will say, just for people that may have not heard, I thought it was interesting that Amon-Ra St. Brown said their offense has been struggling, because you wouldn't know it otherwise. But that was an interesting comment. But yes, how are you feeling about Detroit now that we're a couple weeks out?
Sell on the Lions. Under 10.5 is what I played a couple months ago. Get it. I project 9.6, but so under 10.5, even if it's juiced a bit, still like it.
Minus 130. It's still not too juiced. Come on, that.
Yeah, I mean, yes, they were unlucky last year defensively with their injuries, but they were lucky everywhere else. I mean, 7-2 in one-score games. They won basically like 4 games at the final minutes. Fumbles, red zone, you name it. Now you lose your coordinators. Ben Johnson loss is massive. You lose Ragnow, you lose Zeitler. Your interior offensive line now, which you need for Goff, is a major question. By the way, They're moving. So you're going to have two just completely inexperienced guards. You have Glasgow to center, who we got carted off today. So I don't know how that we're recording this now, and I don't have an update, but lower leg injury. We'll see how that goes. That could be disastrous. There's going to be more interior pressure. Plus, there's 4 more outdoor golf games.
Yep.
And there were last year. Brutal road schedule. So yeah, I mean, everyone in this division has a tough schedule because this division is so good. But I mean, their road games are at Green Bay, at Baltimore, at the Bengals, at the Chiefs, at Washington, at Philly, at the Rams, at the Vikings, at the Bears, outdoors, last game of the year. I mean, that is as bad as it gets. Division's tough. But I think the Johnson offensive line loss combo in the interior with Goff having to play outdoors more, this offense is going to take a step back. Defense could be feisty, but coordinator questions, I don't think that they're going to be as opportunistic as they were last year, benefited from a lot of turnovers. And I'm not as high as some on this defense. So, yeah, I'm selling the Lions. Still a good team. They have a good roster. I still project them to win 9.6 games, but definitely going under 10.5.
Yeah, I think it's another one of those situations where it's offensive line and depth kind of, our little mass where the offensive line could take a big step back. I mean, you're talking about just a whole new interior line, essentially, especially if this Glasgow injury is serious. And he wasn't good last year either. But
no, he was their worst offensive lineman, and now he's
yeah,
going to be starting at center, new position. You got a rookie Ratledge, who I'm not that high on, and then Mahogany, who's rarely played at the other guard spot. Decker, he's back, but he's been dealing with injuries. But it's
and then the defense also. I mean, you got Hutchinson coming off injury. Pascal is he's going to be out. Davenport, you can't really trust him to stay healthy. There's an upside because you got you did add Reed. I think that secondary with Branch and Joseph and the linebackers. There's a lot of upside on that defense, but we've seen how it can look when guys start going down.
He's out for the year too. He tore his ACL.
Who?
Onwuzurike, I can never pronounce.
Oh yeah, yep. Yeah, no, the defense is already banged up, and we know the floor. So the fact that the offense, I think, has a lower floor, and the schedule got harder, and the division got better. I bet the Lions to miss the playoffs at +2 something. Now it's down to +140. I don't really like it there anymore. I think it's a little. It's not really. You're not really doing anything, tying your money up for that one on that kind of bet. But I do think the Lions are a fade, and
Onwuzurike, I think is pronounced. I always Onwuzurike.
It's not. I don't think it's Onwuzurike. I think it's
Onwuzurike, I think.
That sounds.
I always pronounce that name wrong. Onwuzurike, I think.
Igbenogany.
Igbenogany. Yeah, we're both selling the Lions.
Yeah, Packers. They're +115 to miss the playoffs. They are injured at wide receiver, but they could still be better at wide receiver if Matthew Golden hits, because I don't think they liked their receiver room very much last year. We were joking about Bo Melton and moving a corner, but now Wicks has been missing camp. I know Dobbs has been banged up at times. Watson's going to start the year out. Yet you got Golden and Reed.
Isn't Reed banged up though?
Yeah, he's banged. I'm saying because the thing with Reed is he was only averaging, he was averaging under 5 targets by the end of last year. So he's only got to play in 3 wide sets. So as long as he's available for that, you could be better at receiver. Thought Jordan Love played hurt most of last year and still had a pretty good year. He was top 5 in a lot of efficiency metrics.
You're so unlucky. Yeah, we love Love. We know that.
Yeah, and then the defense improved without what was it, Barry there? So, I mean, but the Packers, they lost to everyone better than them essentially too. So that was that. What do you see for them this year? Given that now we expect Detroit to take a step back. So maybe those losses turn into wins.
Yeah, I project 9.9, but there's a lot of injuries and a lot of uncertainty with this team. I like buying the upside. I have them to win the Super Bowl. It's my only Super Bowl future as of right now. I'm a Love guy. I think he played well given the circumstances last year. I'm a believer in Love. I believe in Love. We're going to do this again.
Yeah.
The wide receivers, a lot of injuries. We'll see how it shakes out. Adding Golden, I think, helps. But there's a ton of pieces there. They just have to figure out. They have to stop dropping the ball. The offensive line, how does that shake out? I don't know. There's no depth, so they can't have injuries. Like, you cannot. You can't have Jenkins. Jenkins now is going to take over Myers at center. He's back. That was a question. I think he could be like a Pro Bowl type center. But it's a new position. But they bring in Banks at left guard. The right tackle, you're set with Tom. Left tackle is a battle between Walker and Morgan. I think Morgan's going to win it. Do they kick Walker inside for Ryan? I don't know. But there's, like, if Jenkins goes down, this thing all falls apart. Like, if one of the guards goes down, it's like Belton, I think, would be so the offensive line's got to stay healthy, and these pieces have to come together, but they're there. So, like, there's a lot of upside for this offense. And you have a really good head coach in LaFleur, who I trust.
Defense. Jordan Love got sacked 14 times in 15 games, and he was hurt.
Yep. And the center play was bad, and he played well given the circumstances. Defensively, I loved the hire of Halfley, and he did some tremendous things last year, especially considering that Alexander was never healthy. They didn't have a natural pass rush. They were number one in the NFL in pressure rate when he schemed up blitzes. So, like, it was a lot of scheme. Can they get a better pass rush? Like, can Van Ness be a guy? Why I like buying the Packers, apparently they got a good deal on the table for Parsons. Another reason to potentially buy him. I don't know. If Parsons going to go anywhere? Could it be there? I could see it. This is all about how the secondary plays out. Safety, fine with it. They're good there with Williams and McKinney. How do the corners come together? Because now Hobbs is hurt. I don't know if he's going to be ready week 1. So you need Valentine and Nixon, who I like to be, but they're like, everyone is kind of a slot. But Nixon can play on the outside. Valentine will probably play something. He might have to play outside now. I don't know. The depth isn't great. Are they going to need Melton? But how the corners come together and whether or not they're healthy is massive. That's like the biggest question for me on this team. But and then the special teams, like, don't be a disaster. And Nick McManus was missing kicks today and all kinds of kicks in camp. But I love the upside of this team. I have a buyer on the upside, but there's variance with this offensive line, wide receiver injuries, the corners staying healthy and coming together. Can they get a more natural pass rush? Because the defense last year, I have to be honest, they benefited from turnovers. Probably not going to get that same benefit as they did last year. McKinney's not going to pick off a pass every other drive. So they got to take a step. They got to get a better pass rush. I would love for them to go out and get Hendrickson or Parsons. I think it would do so much for this defense and what Halfley can do. But I'm not buying the win total, not buying the division. I think I see the upside, but there's also some downside of this team. I'm going for the long shot. Packers to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, they're that one team that I like that as well. They're that one team outside of, the Shanahans and the McVays and the Eagles. I think they have a really good shot because I think they can. We've seen them go on a crazy, like Jordan Love go on a crazy run before, and the way it's setting up, his receivers could be healthy in the second half of the season. Maybe that offensive line takes time to gel, but I do like that. He has shown to avoid sacks. His receivers would probably get healthier as the year progresses. So this could be a team that there might even be a better opportunity to buy at some point in the season. Maybe, after they play Philly, maybe they're sitting around 500 and they make a run or something like that. So, yeah, I like the upside with Green Bay too, but it could go either way because I think the corners could be bad.
Yeah.
Very bad.
Concern.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Vikings. Yeah. So Vikings are 25-1 to win the Super Bowl. Bears are 45-1. I like the Bears. I don't think there's a big gap or as big a gap as people think between the Bears and the Vikings, especially because of what the Bears did coaching wise, offensive line wise. But how do you see those two teams in the gap? Is there a gap between them? Who do you have power rated higher and by how much?
I'm a Bears backer this year. Said that a couple months ago. I project them right around 8.5 each. I have the Vikings slightly power rated ahead of the Bears. And they both have top 5 hardest schedules. I'm very close, but I think that the Bears have higher upside. Too good now. I like both their staffs, but I don't think McCarthy's ready to lead them to. Here's the thing. I don't think Williams is ready to lead them to a Super Bowl either. But I have more questions about the Vikings defense than I actually do the Bears defense. That might sound crazy. Flores might be able to fix it all. They should have a better pass rush this year, but the secondary worries me immensely. And now you have, and look, the Bears, people don't like the Bears defense. You got to remember last year with the Bears, and we'll talk about their offense, but their run D went down the tubes when Billings got hurt. And he was out. The run D also got hurt from Brisker not being back there, and they missed him. Now, there are questions about Johnson and Gordon being healthy for week 1. That's something to monitor. They need them to be because maybe Zoff Frazier's the guy. I liked him in college, but Terrell Smith's now out for the year. So the depth is very shaky. They just need their secondary to be healthy. Their linebackers are good. You got Sweat. You added Jarrett, and they have the beef in the middle now with Billings and Dexter to be good enough against the run. And I think their secondary is good enough. I have questions about the Vikings secondary. They can maybe scheme. Flores is just a mad scientist, scheme his way out of it. But I also think Williams, I trust Williams more than I do McCarthy now because I haven't seen anything from McCarthy. I think I also have more questions about the Vikings offensive line than the Bears offensive line, mainly due to injuries. So the Bears went out. They probably had the most improved offensive line in the NFL. You add Tooney, you add Dahlman, you add Jackson. We'll see how Jones and Wright do at the tackles, but I think the offensive line is good enough. The Vikings also overhauled their offensive line, and you have Darisaw back, but there's a lot of guys with injury questions. Like, how is Darisaw healthy right away? Freeze is dealing with it, injury recovering. Kelly's been injured. And then you're going to have a rookie guard. So I think there's a little more uncertainty on the Vikings offensive line. And then the Vikings have better weapons at receiver, although the Bears are pretty solid there. If Odunze takes a jump, you add Burden, you add Loveland to Kmet, you have more. I would like to see them add a running back, which they might do. But the Vikings, you have Addison suspended. You have Rager's hurt now. And
Naylor, not Rager. Rager's he's probably not. He's struggling for a job in L.A. But
they might. So I think that they might go get Thielen is maybe why they got rid of Phillips. But these two teams are close. But with the rookie quarterback, I much prefer the Bears. There's a lot of questions with this Vikings team. And by the way, the Vikings last year, they forced 33 turnovers, so they could be able to do that again. Doubtful. They were 9-1 in one possession games. The schedule gets tougher. And like I mentioned, Addison suspended the first 3. There's some offensive line injury questions. You need a rookie to hit there. There's a lot of variance on this offensive line. I'd like the defensive line additions. Hargrave, Allen, you lose Phillips, but the cornerback is a major question. Maybe KOC and Flores just override that. You got to love the staff, but Ben Johnson is going to do wonders for this Bears offense. They're a much more serious organization. Last year was a joke. Just go back to the Thanksgiving game. So I get there's a lot of hype. Maybe I'm falling for it, but count me in on the Bears. I bet them. I don't see them winning the Super Bowl or the NFC this year. I like the Packers for the higher upside, but I did play the Bears over and to make the playoffs.
Yeah, I like that Bears over at 8.5. You can get 8.5. at plus money. And the
Yep.
Vikings, I find it interesting that I think the Bears are clearly the buy because, yes, these teams are somewhat close. There's uncertainty there with the quarterbacks. But remember going into last season, the Vikings, everyone was down on the Vikings. Like the Vikings, I think, didn't their win total hit like 6 or something once it was going to be Darnold and not McCarthy last year? Yeah. And, then they surprised people. And I don't think that came as a big surprise. But, now I feel like it's just a little bit of an overcorrection where they're putting too much faith in McCarthy and everything's kind of priced in. And this is really just probably a 500 caliber team in the Vikings that just does better because of their coaching staff some years. Yeah. And this year it's just going to be tough because the division, there's no easy outs in the division, coaching wise in the division. You got Campbell, you got LaFleur, and you got Ben Johnson now. I mean, there's no easy outs coaching wise. You're not going to coach circles around anyone. So yeah, I think I'm selling the Vikings. I don't like the fact that even Jefferson's been hurt. Aaron Jones is declining. Mason, he was great last year, but are they going to give him the carries? How quick will they be to go away from Jones if he struggles? Hawkinson wasn't the same last year. Will he bounce back, or is that just who he is now? Did the injury take its toll? And then the fact that they signed Oliver to the extension means they're already maybe a little worried about either the receivers or McCarthy, or they want to go a little heavier. So I see some warning signs with the Vikings, and then they're going to be relying on like Rodgers at corner, which that could go either way. Murphy's been inconsistent at times, so who else is there? Like Okuda, I think, is there now. I see a lot. I see a wide range of outcomes, but I want to fade them in a year like this when I think, especially given the fact that this division is so competitive. I can't get there with the Vikings to be a above 500 team. I can get there with the Bears. So yeah, that's easy fade for the Vikings. Easy play on the Bears for me.
Yeah, and going overseas for a couple weeks too.
Yeah, I have a lot of respect for KOC, but we've seen this before, right? It's like didn't they go like 14-3 one year, and then
they'll go like 1-10 in one possession games, and then 9-1 like last year, and I don't think McCarthy's ready yet. We'll see if he's the guy, but I don't think he's ready just yet.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think he could have
he could be fine, and
he could have an efficient statistical season. Yeah.
He has weapons, but the weapons are hurt. The offensive line is injury questioned, so like there's some uncertainty around him more so than there was going into last year.
Yeah, I think, and again, last year was probably a better team on paper. Their win total was like a couple wins lower, and and the division wasn't as good. So yeah, I think that's a fade. So recap: what do you got? NFC West and then North.
West, we're going buying the Cardinals. Cardinals over. Cardinals make the playoffs. Maybe throw a little in the division. NFC North, Bears over. Bears playoffs. Sprinkle a little in the division. Lions under. Super Bowl Packers by the upside, the extreme upside.
Yeah, I like that Cardinals play on the win total. I like upside for the Niners and Rams Super Bowl. I still think, especially the Niners, I think the Rams, you could probably wait at this point and see what's going on with Stafford. But the Niners, I think I like buying the dip now. I like
that too.
Yeah, I think things could only improve, and it might not be as bad as it looks. It's just a lot of inconsequential guys are banged up, which does speak poorly to the staff, but that's a whole nother issue. And then NFC North, like the Bears, win total over, like the Vikings win total under, like Packers Super Bowl as well. Bet that already. And Lions, I want to fade in some way. Initial way I faded them was to miss the playoffs. I forget the exact number I got it, but I know it was at least plus 200. I don't love it where it's at, so stay tuned on that. But definitely want to sell on the Lions and Vikings and buying the Bears and the Packers. All right, that is going to do it. 4 episodes in the books previewing the entire NFL, so be sure to check out our AFC preview episodes out now and NFC Part 1, where we go over the NFC East and the NFC South.
Next time you hear us, we'll be previewing Week 1 games, baby.
Oh, yeah. We'll be back. 6-pack, all that good stuff. So make sure you subscribe to the channel. Follow Stuck on X at Stuckey2. I'm at Chris Raybon. If you're into college football, be sure to check out Big Bets on Campus with Stuck. And you can find us at Stuckey2 and at Chris Raybon on the free award-winning Action Network app, as well as always. Until the regular season, baby, let's get this money.
Let go.